everyone. Thanks for joining today's Bicom Systems webinar. My name is Gerald Baldino, and I will be your moderator for this event. Today's topic is how to sell VoIP, finding your niche in a $140 billion industry. Joining us today is Eric Johnson, who heads new business development at Bicom Systems. At this point, I'd like to turn the mic over to Eric to begin our presentation.
Thank you, Gerald, and thank you, Channel Vision. This is a very important webinar. We're going to go over why you should get into the VoIP industry, and then basically how to outpace your competition for the profits. The VoIP industry today reminds me of the PC industry going back to 1980. It was just a bulky PC, and then we look at where that bulky PC took us in the year 2000. Took us all the way through to the internet, social media, online buying. We've come a long ways. When we look at VoIP in the year 2000, it was just simple SIM trucks, residential phone lines, business phone lines. It was a chance for people to save some money. A few years later, it quickly went into hosted PBX. This gave access to small to medium-sized businesses to experience the features like call recordings, auto attendance, find me, follow me's, hunt groups, things like that. It brought a tremendous amount of benefit to the marketplace. In the year 2014, Unified Communications came on. Unified Communications is the integration to CRMs, browsers, emails. We've also seen the emergence of soft phones and mobile apps. When we look at mobile apps and soft phones, they're coming now with chat, dynamic conferencing, video, screen sharing, etc. We're literally on the edge of the beginning of unified communications. Your customers are ready for an upgrade. Let's take a look at what we do next. We broke this conference down into three categories: building, marketing, and selling your VoIP service. So 5 steps to building your VoIP service. One is make a plan. Be patient, be intentional, and be specific. Basically, here you're going to lay out everything you want to do. Of course, the big part of this is reviewing your vendors. Don't review just one vendor. Look at as many as you possibly can. You're going to see that many vendors are providing a niche service, and they have a lot of complementary vendors. Get those names, get those other vendors, interview all of them. So that's where it takes to be patient. And of course, what's your intentions for getting into the industry? What's your intentions for your customers? Of course, be specific. At that point, it's easy to set your short-term goals. Once you set your short-term goals, your long-term goals are going to begin to manifest themselves. And above all, find a trusted advisor. This is usually a peer, somebody that's been in the industry for a while. They understand the challenges. They can help you guide your way through this. And of course, another way to get a good advisor is a vendor that's willing to consult you outside of their core platform. Choosing the infrastructure. This is a key part of the plan. Starting with 1 server, 2 quad-core processors. Basically, a lot of people got into this industry. They started with 1 server, and they still have 1 server. This is obviously a mistake if that server was to turn off. You need a minimum of 2 servers. One's live, the other one's a hot swappable backup. One goes down, you're still up and running. Of course, if the whole facility goes down, you want an off-site backup. Of course, include security measures. You want a security application that lays over the top of your PBX. Security is no longer a threat, it's a promise. We're seeing denial of service attacks all the time, financial loss, etc. This is the minimum of what you need to get into the industry. If you cannot do this yourself, find a vendor that's willing to help you with it. There's lots of cloud offerings out there. When we talk about hardware, a lot of it's unspecific. It's PowerPoint presentations, Excel files, things like that. What you're really looking for is a vendor who has a cloud infrastructure service that's specific to VoIP. Make this your priority, and of course, with your prospects, make sure this is a priority for them as well. Finding your niche. This is fun. You're looking at maybe you want to be a rural provider of residential phone lines. It's an underserved marketplace. Your future customers will appreciate you. When we look at urban, you can do urban residential phone lines. You're offering a unique feature set, let's say. And of course, the urban business environment is wide open. Decide if you want to do public or private. A lot of people want to get into the government agencies, government contracts, etc. If you go private, find something specific. The insurance industry, hospitality, restaurant, healthcare. Once you define that, your direct sales or your channel distribution will become more possible. You may not have experience dealing with governments and government contracts, for example. There's lots of agents out there who does have that experience. That's how you would choose to go through their channel versus selling it directly. Add market features. This is important. When you're looking at vendors, make sure they have all these features in place. They have a track record with it. When you talk to your prospect, they're going to want to know that the platform they're going on will scale if their company grows. They don't want to have to feel like they're going to have to switch off if they grow. Second part to it is they have unique needs that they're talking about today. You want to make sure you can comprehend all those, your product can. But if their needs change, you have a platform that's comprehensive that can cover it in the future. Of course, everything is mobile today. You want a complete, solid mobility offering for them. Security, we've already talked about security. Security has to be a priority. Please make it a priority with your prospects. Flexibility, everybody's needs when they run their business is a little bit different. You want to be able to offer a flexible solution. Your vendor should have a track record of being flexible. And of course, integration. When we talk about integration, again, it's the CRMs, the browsers, the emails, the billing platforms. This is where the end user will appreciate your offer. You're eliminating double keying, you're eliminating a lot of time. Everybody wants integration today. Make sure you can offer that. That's a marketable feature. Set your prices. This is key. If you overprice your product, you're going to go on a lot of calls, you're going to give out a lot of quotes, but you're not going to win a lot of business. If you underquote your product, you're basically giving it away. What are you giving away? You're giving away your support, you're giving away your technical edge. In the end, you and your prospect, your future customer, does not win. The market is very clear on what price it will bear. You have a residential phone line with Vonage, it's $25 plus taxes. This is the market price. A business phone line, $30 plus taxes. Then we get into the hosted PBX. A mistake a lot of people make is they just have one price for a hosted PBX. Of course, it scales up or down depending on how many phones the prospect has. You see here on the right how it breaks it down. A 1 to 5 seat opportunity is $30, 6 to 15 is $27, etc. Make sure your pricing reflects what the market is bearing. 5 steps to marketing your VoIP service. Many companies spend a lot of money on marketing to get very little results. What they're doing is they're strictly highlighting features of their platform. They're not attaching any benefits. And so in the end, the prospect is not attaching any emotion to your product. They're not attaching any emotion to your company. And you're just flushing your marketing dollars away. Make sure every time you mention a feature, you attach it to a benefit. You're going to have much better results when it comes to marketing. So educate them on the benefits. This is basically what they're going to get. They don't want to hear about all the features. They want to know how this offer is going to be a benefit to their company. Basically, you just want to share previous experiences with your current customers. Take your time when you do this. In the end, you're earning their trust. This is what they want to talk about. So how do they get it? This is demonstrating the features. Basically, when somebody demos a product, oftentimes you'll see it where they'll do a tab walk. It's this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature. Again, there's no attachment to a feature. Every time you mention a feature, describe the benefit that your current customers are experiencing with that. This is what they're looking for. Every time you show a feature, attach a benefit to it. Guarantee an easy transition. This is unique. When we listen to the language, when we're conscious of the language that we're hearing out there, everybody's talking about converting over, changing over, moving over. Many businesses don't want to change what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. It works for them. They don't want to hear about change. They really want to hear about is upgrading. This is what you're offering to them. You're offering to upgrade their business. They're interested in that. When you look at an upgrade is transparent. It lays right over the top of what they're currently doing now. Of course, it's tangible and it's solving all the problems they're trying to accomplish. So to guarantee an easy transition, let's be conscious of our language. Let's talk about upgrading instead of changing. Pledging ongoing customer service. People say there's competition out there. I would disagree with that. When you look at customer service, if you have a strong customer service plan, you can outpace the competition. Basically, you need a couple things. One, you need a strong email ticket system where you're professionally tracking their projects. Second part, too, is you need a chat support. People are busy doing their jobs. They don't have time to pick the phone up and call somebody. They just want to chat through it. Make sure you have a chat offering. The third part to it is you definitely want to offer phone support. If they absolutely need help, they want to pick the phone up and call in, want to know that someone's there to answer the telephone. If you're using chat, you're using email, it offsets the pressure on your telephone support, meaning that when somebody actually needs it, they call in, they get an answer. And again, customer service, you're a local company. They can put a name to a face, come out there and see them once in a while, visit them, be proactive with your customer support. Call the customer once in a while. Don't wait for them just to call you. Of course, when you put all this in place, you lay over the top of it the 3 Ps. You want to be professional, you want to be present, and you want to be personable. Offer an incentive to join. This is fun. When we look at unified communications, there's lots of incentives out there. Free add-ins, you can include equipment. I like Bluetooth headsets, fancy phones for the owner, etc. When you've laid the transition out, everybody's bought into it, your company, their company, all the members of the project team, the transition can be for free. In the end, what incentive do they have to upgrade to your company? It's a deal based on their needs. That's what they want to hear, that you've been listening, what their challenges are. The incentive is focus on their needs, and they'll join you. 5 challenges to selling your VoIP service. Lack of education. Like it says there, nearly half of the customers do not know how unified communications can benefit them. The knowledge of VoIP is outdated. The reason why? Unified communications has not been out there for a long time. Just a few years into it, very few prospects are actually experiencing the benefits of unified communications. So it's easy to share the non-product materials, be educational with them, Establish yourself as an industry expert. Part of what happens here is we're trying to sell them something instead of consult them. People don't want to be sold anything anymore. They want to be consulted. When you take the consultative approach, you become an industry expert. Fear of taking the next step. Change is scary. What happens when we're offering change is that they feel like they're going to walk a path nobody else has been on before. When we're offering a transition plan, basically this is working with goals. When we talk about our goals, we want to achieve our goals, we want to write them down. We want to write them down with the customer. We want to be specific about it, dates, times, responsibilities, something everybody can buy into. Now they have something tangible they can wrap their arms around. That next step is no longer based on fear. How do you get that information? Of course, you want to share what your current customers went through. So you have case studies and testimonials for them to look at. VoIP as a commodity. VoIP is coming out of the dark ages. It used to be only a commodity. Of course, the big nationals want you to approach it as a commodity. That's where they compete the best. You don't have to do that anymore. Again, it's not price driven. It's not change. It's all about an upgrade. Do not only sell VoIP. Sell what unified communications can do for their company, all the benefits, and again, it's an upgrade, not a commodity. Finding your place in the market. This is interesting. What's going to set you apart? Is there abundant competition? I don't believe so. Very few vendors right now in the VoIP industry are selling unified communication. The other part to it is they're not a local provider. They need someone that's had experience in the industry, either you or your vendor. They appreciate the unified communications conversation. They haven't had it before, and they like to do it face to face. Being a local provider, that's a strong position to be. Adding value. Sufficient revenue to grow. It's not good to overcharge or inflate your prices. We know that. When we're talking about adding value, we're talking about upgrades. We're talking about unified communications. Of course, the solutions, there's lots of extras and add-ons. And of course, with unified communications, it's all about adding value. This is what they want to talk about. Vicom Systems. We've actually written the book on how to sell VoIP. Here's the link. We have lots of case studies out there for you to look at. And of course, contact one of our consultants. They want to talk to you about what an upgrade looks like to your company. Gerald?
Okay, thanks, Eric. At this point, I'd like to jump into the Q&A portion of the presentation. So if anybody has questions, feel free to shoot them over our way. To kick things off, Eric, can you please give us a real-life example of how pricing may help or hold back a company?
Yeah, going back to, I don't know, first quarter of 2010, we had the price of a hosted seat drop. It used to be $45 a hosted seat. That included the phone, the router, the switch. And virtually overnight, it dropped to $30, and now it's settled at around $25. What we saw with the ITSPs who were in the business prior to 2010, they were charging the $45. They stayed at the $45 after that first quarter, and basically from where I was sitting, I saw their businesses flatline for the next 4 years. I saw people get into the business in, let's say, June of 2010. They came in with the adjusted market price, roughly $25 per hosted seat, includes all the equipment. And I saw them sell 4,000 hosted seats in the next 4 years. So there was a big difference. Basically a flat line where people who at the time were now overcharging for what the market was bearing versus somebody that was right on target. And then of course we have the scenario where if somebody who had sold 4,000 hosted seats in the last 4 years, in the next 4 years, if they had undercharged, they wouldn't have been able to keep the support together, nor would they be able to get the marketing out there, et cetera, to grow the company. So to undercharge or overcharge, it really will determine the fate of your business. Make sure you stay where the market bears. Gerald?
Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. We had another question come in. Can you talk to customers about the shutdown of the PSTN and how that can play into marketing? For example, a new study predicted that landlines will be obsolete by 2020.
Basically, we're not running VoIP over a copper phone line, a dial-up number. It's been a subsidized industry since whatever, the 1920s. This really helped rule America to have phone access back then. And it's carried all the way over through to today. It's been a needed industry, but AT&T and everybody else has decided it's the fiber world now. Everybody's fibering to the business or to the home. And so we're going to see a massive switch to VoIP in the next 2 years. And then we're going to see a quantum leap in the features as it's all beginning to start to play out to the end user. So saying goodbye to the PSTN is really saying hello to unified communications. That's way over the top. We really have no idea what that's going to look like. The bottom line is we want to be in a position to profit from it.
Okay. Is it best to target specific verticals, to become an expert on VoIP and UC for a certain vertical?
I have seen time and time again where somebody walks into an insurance office and walks them through the process. The VoIP rep starts to learn a lot about their business and what they do and how their product can really help that insurance office be more productive. We found that when they go to the next insurance office, they seem to win that deal. And to the next one and the next one and the next one, et cetera. Some people focus on the, let's say, a real estate office. The more you know about a niche market, the better chance you're going to get to sell the next one. So definitely have a few of them in your back pocket where you're considered an expert. They'll appreciate it.
Okay, had a few more questions come in here. Are there certain UC benefits or features that are resonating with buyers at the current moment?
The integration into CRMs, the billing platforms, the browser integrations. What we're seeing is CRMs and billing platforms, they're siloed, so it takes full-time employees to keep them up. Now that the integration's in play, we're seeing a demand for having it populated through integration instead of manually keying it. So those are the real popular ones. Of course, a soft phone put onto a mobile device where someone has their actual business on their mobile device anywhere in the world. This is exciting. You can see all of your coworkers, who's on the phone, you're chatting back and forth. You're as productive as you've ever been with the mobile apps. So if I was to review unified communications right now, I would look heavily into the soft phone and what that can do in the mobile world.
Okay, one question came in comparing, I guess, Bicom to Comcast phone systems. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
I'm not familiar with Comcast phone systems. Comcast is obviously a cable company. They've laid fiber and that type of thing. Comcast is not a software company. Bicom Systems, we're actually a software company. We've developed a soft switch. It's a multi-tenant platform. We actually have a call center as well. We have a business application and even a key system. Along with that, we have SIP security, lays over the top of the platform, along with all the advanced SIP optimization, all the QoS, quality of service. So I'm not sure what Comcast is offering. We know they're not a software company. If they bought some platform, they're just out reselling it. Basically, you would be competing against Comcast. And again, I don't think it's hard right now. They've oversaturated the market. The support service is down. People don't feel like it's local. A lot of times they've been tied up in some real tricky contracts that they felt like they've gotten burned over. So I wouldn't feel like Comcast would be your competition right now.
Okay, another question that came in from Mir, who wants to know, they recently started selling UC services. They have a problem gaining new users. He'd like to know a little bit more about marketing tools, what your recommendations are, and what tools to use.
Yeah, so we're in the internet business. A lot of people don't realize that. My advice to any company, either if you're just getting started or if you've been in the business for 20 years, get Google Analytics loaded on your website. Log into that every single day. See what search terms Google has indexed you on and what page you're coming up on in what town. If you can come up on the first page in, for example, Angola, Indiana, for telephone service, you're going to win. Many times we key in ITSPs and we'll key in telephone service or PBX, and in the town that they're in, they're coming up on the 6th through 12th page. So to come up on the first page, one, you have very few companies doing it. So the market is all yours. Secondly, we see a lot of people spending a lot of money on AdWords. Start with the organic stuff. Just blog away until you get those 30, 40, 50 relevant search terms for VoIP, UCAS, etc. Get on the first page in your hometown and start from there. That's the best way to get the marketing off the ground.
Okay, I have a question from a network perspective. What are some preliminary steps that businesses can take to prepare their networks and ensure a strong VoIP service once it's up and running?
You want to play this all the way through. Of course, the biggest key is to make sure you have priority for VoIP. And of course, there's a hard program you can put in where 10%, 15, 20% of that connection is 100% dedicated to VoIP. It's really not necessary anymore. We like the dynamic QoS. If there's nobody using the phone on that network, then the data's full stream. If everybody's on the telephone right now, the absorption of the phone information over the data will override. So a dynamic QoS is a better way to go. It helps us to judge the peaks and valleys.
Okay, here's a question from Steve, who wants to know, is there a standard contract term for new customers on a hosted system?
There are agreements out there. It depends. You have everything from a month to month, kind of a first and last, and then it's just month to month, where people like that. We have these strange agreements that have been put in place, for example, by the cable providers over the years, where people get snagged up in some spooky contract that just never seems to go away, and their bills have been going through the roof ever since. So a month-to-month is a possibility. What you have is if you're selling other services with it, like an internet connection, you could be just selling managed services, IT support, things like this. There's a little more work involved up front. You may go all the way through to a 3-year agreement, which includes all those services. That's better for both of you, both you and your new customer. They want to know that they're going to be working with you for the next 3 years on this project.
Okay, another one for you. Do you see cybersecurity concerns impacting VoIP or UC sales?
So, like we said in the webinar, you know, security threat, it's not a threat anymore, it's a promise. For a lot of people, it's a good thing, because the second you pop up an unprotected server, in comes the attacks right away. So at that point, you don't have any customers on there to get harmed. But definitely review the security protocols. You're getting a denial of service is happening constantly. And then, of course, a financial attack. This is a foreign entity, a foreign company, a foreign country coming in and dialing away on your phone system or your customer's phone system over a long weekend, running up thousands on into tens of thousands of dollars in bills. The FCC requires you to pay that. There's absolutely no one that's ever had that waived. You and the end user. The end user could turn around, the end user is responsible for it. They could turn around and say, you pay it, you should have been more responsible for this. Obviously, no one wants to get tangled up going down that road. Security is real. Lock down your networks, lock down your VoIP platform. If you can't do it yourself, find a vendor that's willing to help you with it. Lots of them out there. Everyone's doing a great job. Gerald?
Okay, looking at a question here. What is your advice for a new startup for VoIP service? I guess how could a startup use VoIP to rise up quickly in the competition?
Well, depending on what you're trying to do, you know, back in the day, we used to recommend getting a couple residential lines going. You got your billing going, you put your compliance, your telecom taxes in place. Once you have it up and running, there's very little support on a residential phone line. And then we would encourage them to move to a business phone line, a business trunk. You know, that $30 that hooks onto an average of 4 phones in the United States. And then we would tell them, then go for the hosted seats, where the PBX is taken from the customer site and it's put into the cloud. Full featured, fully managed, 5-star service. That's the way to go. Today, you still can do that. At some level, we would recommend it. But if you're coming in strong with unified communications, just get one customer to buy into the process from start to finish. And now you got all the traction that you need. You have the blueprint, you have the case study, you have the testimonial, you have the reference to go forward from there. So if you're selling strictly unified communications, the industry is wide open for you. My only advice, just get one really good one that's using all the features, all the benefits are documented. The sky's the limit for you.
Okay, going back to UC, someone would like to know, do you see a trend in UC becoming less about the voice service itself and becoming more about the other communications offerings, like, I guess, like messaging?
Yeah, very good, Gerald. Sure, so anything from the chat to text messaging, all of the, this contact center and all the different ways that we can talk or communicate with each other, it is going down. Is voice going away 100%? No. Like we said on the webinar, you have phone support, you have email ticket system, and you have a chatting. Voice is still there, and there's a need for voice. As we get busier, we don't want to have to pick the phone up to call somebody. I remember before email and chat, you would regret having to call somebody. You'd put it off a couple of days. Nowadays, we just fire off a quick email. We start a chat conversation. So do I see voice going away 100%? No. I believe some of these other features like texting and things like that will fill in quite nicely, and the telephone calls will be reserved for when we absolutely need them. And then someone's absolutely going to be there to answer that call for you. Gerald?
Okay, it looks like there's a question from Dan Smith here, wondering about if you've encountered any issues porting over existing phone numbers.
I'm sorry, what's the question about existing phone numbers?
Dan, if you'd like to clarify, maybe Dan wants to know if there's been any issues porting over existing phone numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, what are we in the year 2018? We go back to the year 2010, for example, 2011. If you'd have an account, let's say in New York City, and they had a remote office or they had something going on just outside of town, and you're ready to do this deal, and then you realize you can't port over that number from that remote office. That was prevalent for a very long time. I give credit to a few companies that actually went out into rural America and plugged in all that equipment, became the CLEC in that state, got the agreement in place with the ILEC, plugged in all that equipment, started pulling those DIDs over, and unlocking a lot of people from the incumbent ILEC, which was great. That took many years to finally evolve. But today, I think we're about 84% of all numbers can now be easily ported. If you're having a trouble finding a good porting company, a company that can get you the DIDs ported over, let us know. We got some ideas for you. It's a lot better now than it's ever been. At this point, it's no longer a showstopper. Gerald?
Okay, any other questions? I think we still have a few minutes here. Just looking to see if anybody has any more. Okay, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thanks again for joining today, everyone. For more information about BICOM, please visit bicomsystems.com. Thanks. Have a nice day.